Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Alright, this is it. This is the one you've been waiting for. This is the Scouting Combine reaction show. There's others out there, but you're going to want to stay tuned for this one. I promise you that, guys. It's not going to be some boring, hey, Bayshell Tootin ran fast. We're going to go a little deeper than that. You're not going to hear O'Marion Hampton's flying up draft boards. He's not, guys. Maybe he's flying up your draft board, but scouts will tell you he's been a first rounder for a while, guys. Stay tuned. We got it all coming up for you. I'm going to try to do it as quickly as I can, too. All right, let's start with tight ends. Terrence Ferguson. I did a video on him right before the Combine. Go check it out, guys. Undervalued player. No one's sleeping on him anymore. He was my tight end 5 before the Combine. Suddenly, he's everyone's tight end 5 now. He should see day 2 capital. He really knocked it out of the park. Athleticism matters for tight ends. Broad jump's a good number to check out. He hit 10.2. That's fantastic. He's 6'5", about 250. Runs in the 4.6s. This is textbook stuff, guys. Great length. Honestly, he's still a great value. I'm seeing some post-combine mock drafts. He's not even getting drafted still. 4th round maybe. Get your shares, guys. That's easy money. Let's talk about Mason Taylor. This is my tight end 2 in the class. So I like him a little bit more than Loveland, actually. They're close, though. Basically the same tier. That might be a spicy take even for some of you. Some of you have like Fannin ahead of Taylor. I don't know about that, guys. Taylor's going to be a 10-year starter in the league, guys. Checks every box. Man, he'd look great in the Chiefs uniform. Back end of round 1, they pick 31st. Replace the Hall of Famer. This is going to be Kelsey's last year, probably. This is a plug-and-play guy, Mason Taylor. 6'5", 250. Big 10-inch mitts. This kid's got bona fide Hall of Fame bloodlines. Uncle and his dad both played in the league. Both Jimmy Johnson draft picks. I hear he's retiring. The man had a great eye for talent. One of the best to ever do it. He drafted Aronde Gatson's dad, too. You could argue the Dallas Cowboys haven't been the same since Jimmy Johnson left. But end of an era. Farewell, Jimmy Johnson. King of Kings. They don't make him like Jimmy Johnson anymore. What a great name, too. Jimmy Johnson. I could just say that all day. All right, guys. Sorry, I'm drifting. Colston Loveland didn't work out. He measured, though. He looks good. Big 10-inch mitts as well. See what he runs at his pro day. Should be in the 4.6s. Tommy Fedone had a good combine. He flashed a little bit at the Senior Bowl. Solid player. Sneaky fantasy value. Honestly, he could earn a role as a starting tight end in the NFL. We'll see where he gets drafted. Let's talk about Harold Fannin. Bowling Green tight end. Weighed in at 6'3", 240. A little bit undersized. Ran a 4.7. Some people were expecting him to run faster. I wasn't really. I had him at about 4.7 before the Combine. Thing I've been saying about Fannin is I just don't see him taking over anything close to the role he had at Bowling Green. You can't expect that kind of production to carry over to the NFL. He's probably going to be more of an Isaiah Likely than he is a Brock Bowers or anything like that. I'll have a share or two, but I'm not going to reach on him. Gunnar Helm ran slow. Turns out he twisted his ankle. So might be a nice little value there for you. Some people are just going to live with that 4.9 in their heads forever. 2 players who have been kind of traveling together in my rankings. First, they were near the top. Then they were sort of closer to the bottom. Now they're back, baby. They're right in that second tier of tight ends you need to pay attention to in this class. I'm talking about Mitchell Evans, Notre Dame tight end, and Luke Lachey, Iowa. Tight end you, baby. They've done it again. Look out for Luke Lachey, man. People sleep on him. You never hear his name. The kid can play. Bright kid, too. People don't understand. You have to be smart to play the position of tight end, especially in the NFL. They took the Wonderlic away from us. That was kind of a cheat code for me. But now I watch interviews, so I know who's bright and who's not. Luke Lachey, Mitchell Evans, these kids are scoring in the high 20s, low 30s, I bet you, on the Wonderlic. 1.55 split for Mitchell Evans. That's flying, man. That'll work plenty well in the NFL. 6'5 and a quarter, 258. That's easy, man. That's going to be an easy one. He's going to be a starter in the NFL before too long. Him and Lachey, man. I'm going to have about 1 million shares of both of those guys in my dynasty leagues. Lachey didn't run a 40, but he jumped 10-0. And as you guys know, I love those broad jumpers. Jalen Conyers, 10'1" broad jump. He's a tight end out of Texas Tech. He had a sneaky good combine. No one's really talking about him. 6'4", 260. Good length. Excellent short shuttle, 4.27. 6.94 on the 3-cone. That was the best mark of the group. On par with some of the best wide receivers in this class. He's basically free right now in our dynasty drafts. I'll have plenty of shares. I'm a tight end hoarder. What can I say? If you play tight end premium and you got a guy that can give you, 8 points or something, I'll take it on a bye week. All right, guys, let's move over to running back. First thing I want to touch on, Kyle Manungai. No one's talking about him. He ran a 4.6. He's dead to everyone right now. He jumped 9.9. Hey, you know what? Go check out that video I made about him. I was comparing him to Bucky Irving. It's pretty funny, actually. He had a combine similar to Bucky Irving. It wasn't very good. But if you read between the lines, it really wasn't that bad. Watch him in drills. He was one of the best looking running backs in all the drills, period. He was 5'8 and a quarter, 211 pounds at weigh-in. He ran a 4.6. Guess what, guys? He's not a speed back. No one told you he was a speed back. But check that 10-yard split, 154. That's tied for 8th best at the event, and he's right up there with all the 4.4 guys. I mean, he's so explosive on tape. I thought he'd jump a little better, but the thing you have to take into consideration with a running back like this, he's just built different than everyone else. You can't judge him. It's not an apples-to-apples thing. I mean, he's built different. He moves different. Check out the drills if you don't believe me. Frank Gore only had a 9'1" broad jump back in the day. I lowered him on my board for that. That'll never happen again. Watch the tape, guys. Manungai's a good player. He's going to go to a savvy GM. Loaded running back class. Guy like Manungai's going to fall through the cracks. Major sleeper appeal here. Could be like an Eckler type. Keep him on your radars, guys. That's all I'll say. Bashal Tutin, he ran fast. I already knew he was fast before the combine. I didn't move him at all, really. 4.4 shuttle's not great. No one else is saying it, but that shows up on his tape. He's kind of a straight line speedster. We'll see where he gets drafted. I mean, opportunity is everything at the running back position. So I'm hearing maybe day 2 now. So that would be amazing. That'll get your foot in the door opportunity-wise. That's good capital for a running back. But with our luck, he'll probably end up with the Dolphins or something. RB3, another speedster for him. Caleb Johnson ran a little slow. 4.57. That's actually really not bad at all, guys. That's a player I like a lot. Currently RB3 on my board. Definitely looks the part. Weighed in at shade under 6 foot, 227. 4.57 is great for a man that size. 33-inch arms. Goodness gracious. That shows up on tape too, guys. I made a video on him not too long ago. Made a video on lots of these guys. Go sniff around my channel. Johnson's a 3-down grinder. We'll see where he lands. Give him the opportunity and, move out of the way. He's going to be great. Henderson, let's talk about it. He was fast. We all know he's fast. He's a speed back. I wish he ran a shuttle for us. Maybe it's not very good. Very explosive in a straight line, though. 4.42 40. That's basically what I expected him to run. 10.8 broad. That's awesome. He's an explosive athlete. I've never said he wasn't. I think he runs hot and cold. Let's see how it all plays out. I don't think he's a 3-down workhorse. Some are saying he is. Let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, he weighed in at 202. Just not sure what the yak's going to look like in the NFL. He's running through huge open holes at Ohio State. Come on, be honest about it, guys. And he's not Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm telling you guys, he's not Jahmyr Gibbs. That's not who he is. He's more of like a Mostert or something like that, who can be exceptionally productive. He can be an RB1 if they gave him the touches in a scheme like that. But more likely, he's going to be a committee guy. Boomer bust weeks, I think, which is fine. That's the NFL right now. That's the world we live in. I currently have him at RB7 on my board, which is pretty low for some of you, but I think if you're realistic about it, all things considered, I think that's a fair spot, and it's really not very low in a star-studded class. Pound for pound, I don't think he's that different than a guy like Tutin or even a guy like Jadon Blue. But I've been saying that for a while, so let's move on. Rocket Sanders, man, he's back. Big, strong, fast. Watch the tape. He's twitched up, man. For his size, it's kind of impressive. He's totally back, man. Look out for Rocket Sanders. Major sleeper in this class. Imagine him on a team like the Raiders. Look out for old Pete Carroll now. You guys remember that star-studded 2017 class? He was the guy that took the late round running back in Chris Carson. So, maybe R.J. Harvey late. I could see that for the Raiders. But, of course, I know Pete Carroll's never met a running back he didn't want to draft in the first round. Look out for them to take Ashton Genty. Top of round 1. I'd like that. I'd love that for them. I'm a Raiders fan, guys. I'm a Raiders fan and I'm a Ravens fan. I live in Baltimore. Used to live out in the Bay Area. I've liked the Raiders for a long time. Al Davis, man. That guy's a genius. Eye for talent. Sweet tooth for speed. Man, I wish Al Davis was on Twitter. That'd be cool. They don't make him like Al Davis anymore, guys. But all right, guys. Back to running backs. Al Davis probably would have drafted Donovan Edwards, the Don. He had a good combine, basically right on par with Trevian Henderson. If he could just learn some contact balance to fight a little bit through contact, he'd be a great player. I mean, he's got all the breakaway talent in the world. He's traitsy as hell. He's a good receiving back. Definitely some sleeper appeal there. If a coach can unlock his talent. If. That's a big if. Montreal Johnson had an excellent combine. Tested very well. He looked good in drills. He's a good player I've actually liked for a while. I think he's a workman-like player, blue-collar guy. He can do basically exactly what he was doing at Florida in the pros. Translatable toolkit. At worst, he's probably going to be a high-end handcuff somewhere. 5'11", 212, 4'4" flat, basically. Very impressive numbers for Montreal Johnson. That's what you call triangle numbers, guys. Check that 10-yard split, though. 155. Come on. Kyle Monungai's faster than that. Kyle Monungai's like a poor man's Ashton Genty without the long speed. Ashton Genty's the RB1 in this class. Do not get it twisted. Omarion Hampton had like a 4.4 short shuttle. That shows up on his tape. He's kind of a straight line guy. He kind of needs a runway. I mean, he's big as hell. Don't get in his way. I mean, he's definitely a 4.4 guy. You see that on the tape. 10-10 broad. That is winning. He's going to be a first rounder, but he's not better than Genty. Get out of here with that. Quinshon Judkins had an excellent combine. Very, very impressive. If there's one player that moved up my boards just a little bit here, Quinshon Judkins. I wasn't expecting him to be quite this explosive, but I've always been a fan. Not terribly surprised. 151 10-yard split is electric. 6 foot 220, 11 foot broad. Very impressive stuff, guys. He's my RB4 right now in this class. In the same tier as Dylan Sampson, who I think is another player. People are kind of still sleeping on him. They don't understand how what kind of upside this guy has. He measured in at 5'8", 200, so a little bit shorter than I think some people are expecting. Doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't affect my grade at all. I had him at about 5'10" before this. 10 foot 4-inch broad jump at 5'8" is amazing. That's a great mark for a running back. People get all worked up with their RAS scores. This is nuanced stuff, guys. RAS scores just muddy the data. You don't want RAS scores. Throw that stuff out. Look at every individual category and weigh it accordingly. For example, a short player who jumps 10.4 is better than a tall guy that jumps 10.4. If you're 6'6" and jump 10.4, it's really not as impressive. If you're 5'8", you're really propelling yourself. RAS score will tell you the opposite. They'll tell you the 6'6" guy gets a better grade. I don't hate the RAS score. It's just, it muddies the data. It's like a production score. Don't you want to know what the production actually looks like? I do. It's important to me. Like I said, it's nuanced, guys. Don't pay any attention to the RAS score. I mean, it's essentially historically meaningless. The combine numbers are extremely important, but the RAS scores, they aren't telling the full story. So throw those away. Just look at the individual scores. All right, that's enough about that. Cam Scatabo, he had a good combine. All he did was the jumps. Awesome numbers for him at that size. Makes me think he's got a shot at running a sub 4.6. That'd be a big win for him. Now, I've always liked players like Cam Scatabo, guys that pick up yards after contact. But it's a game of opportunity, especially with these running backs. Braylon Allen looked good after contact. He got okay draft capital. He's buried on the depth chart. Brace yourselves. There's going to be a lot of Braylon Allens in this class. Ollie Gordon, he's probably going to be a Braylon Allen. DJ Giddens, he might be a Kendre Miller. Talented player, buried on the depth chart. Damian Martinez, let's see where he gets drafted. Taj Brooks, bigger body back. He kind of had a decent combine, honestly. No one's talking about Taj Brooks. That dude could carry the load. He's not LaDainian Tomlinson, but he could do it. Devin Neal, I'm seeing him going like round 2 of rookie drafts. Guys, we don't even know where he's going to get drafted. He could easily be a 4th rounder buried on a depth chart. If you're doing your drafts early, pick tight ends and wide receivers, low-hanging fruit. If your team needs running backs, you want to take one of the top 6 guys or something in the first 2 rounds, that's fine. After that, you're playing with fire, guys. Be careful out there. Jordan James, just okay. A little bit disappointing. Dropped him a little bit in my ranks. I think he's serviceable, but I think he's going to be headed for backup duty in the NFL. Trevor Etienne looked pretty good. Ran faster than I thought he would. Sometimes I worry when these guys drop weight to run faster. Sometimes that's an indicator that a guy's not going to run that fast, but 5'8 3/4, 198. Trevor Etienne ran a 4.42 and a 1.51 split. So he's cruising. A little undersized, but he's a muscled up guy, man. I'm not too worried about that. You watch his tape, Watch some Kyle Monangai, my guy. I'm going to keep talking about him just because no one else is. I've got ETN around RB7. This is right around where, like, you watch the tape, just a pure tape grade. Monangai's right up here with these guys. Very effective runner. Analytics back it up, too, guys. I'm not an analytics dude, but, that's what they're telling me anyway. Analytics are it's just a big sheet of lies. I don't have time to sift through all of it. It's all smoke and mirrors, that analytics stuff. Watch the tape. Get to know the player. That's all you really need. Hey, talk about analytics now. Nice transition here. Trey Harris. That guy's off the charts on all the analytical categories. Why isn't he a top 5 pick, right? This looks like a Larry Fitzgerald analytically. It's because there's levels to this stuff, guys. He may not end up going till round 3. He can only muster a 4.54, 6'1" 3/4, 205. Decent length. Box checker all around. Not the most savvy route runner. Not the twitchiest guy, not the biggest guy. There's reports he may go back end of round 1. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Good professional wide receiver probably, but lacks some pizzazz in my opinion. I stand by this one. Jalen Royals. He's got a chance to be the wide receiver 1 in this class. Not on draft day, but just looking back in a couple years. I mean, he does everything well. He's a grown man. He's 6 foot, 205 at the combine. Ran a 4.42 with a 1.49 split, which was tied for fastest with a guy who ran a 4.29. He's got all the athleticism you could ask for. He was having one of the best years of any receiver in the country before he got injured and shut it down for the year. I mean, in my opinion, he's one of the twitchiest, smoothest overall wide receivers in this class. Bigger bodied guy, strong throughout his frame. You're not going to be able to press him. You're not going to get him off his route. He looked great at the Senior Bowl. There's mixed reviews. I thought he looked awesome. I think this is a scout special. He's so smooth, it's hard to tell he's even moving fast. I thought he was making it look easy out there. Jalen Noel, that's the name everyone's talking about now. He was at the Senior Bowl. He didn't make it look as easy as Royals. Royals was smoother. Noel had to work hard for everything. I mean, he's a little undersized. Just goes to show you how important length is at the wide receiver position. I mean, he's got sub 30-inch arms. That's going to land him in the slot. I mean, unless you want to use him out at the Z spot, kind of like a Tyler Lockett situation. He measured at 5'10", 194, ran a 4.39 40, 11'2" broad jump. Are you kidding me? Incredible numbers. Workout warrior. Across the board. Even the shuttles, 4.17 is awesome. 6.82 3-cone. Just everything. Great performance by him. He's going to probably end up going day 2. Could end up going to top 75 now. I'll have my shares for sure, but I'm not going to go too crazy with this one. Honestly, I feel like the combine, everything, all the hype, it's pushing up his value just a little too much in my opinion. I actually like his running mate a little bit more. Jaden Higgins. He's a dark horse to go back into round 1. 6'3 3/4, 214, ran a 4.47. Great length, 33 1/8 arms, bursty, phenomenal competitor, great kid, great interview, tough, strong, really high floor here. You don't keep guys like this on your bench. I was calling him a discount Tet a few months ago. Suddenly, it's not such a great discount. I mean, they could both end up going within picks of one another in the first round. That's what I'm hearing anyway. Tet's slipping a little bit. Looks like a middle of the first, later first type of talent. Not so much a top 10 guy. I told you, that sell window is closing fast with Tet. You could have got the 101 in your rookie draft for him not too long ago. You could have got Genty straight up for Tet not too long ago. We'll see what Tet runs at his pro day. He doesn't look like a speedster to me on tape. I've heard times in the 4.4s. I was kind of surprised when I watched the tape. He doesn't really run away from anyone. Good player. Agile for his size, for sure. Acrobatic as hell. But he's a big fish in a small pond there at Arizona. Let's be honest. I don't even think he's 100% sure what his role will look like in the NFL or how his game will translate. That's what I'm gathering, watching interviews. That's why I watch the interviews. He was just on Ross Tucker. Sometimes I wonder what he would have looked like at a school like Arkansas or something like that. Arkansas had a couple of guys at the combine. A couple of tradesy dudes. Andrew Armstrong and Isaac Tesla. I mean, if there's one guy I'm going to go back and watch the tape on, it's Tesla. I thought he looked good at the Senior Bowl. Kind of like Noel, I thought he had to work a little bit hard for some of the stuff he was getting. Athletic, but not always super smooth in and out of his routes. I liked Besh better, but I think they kind of offer a similar kind of toolkit for you. Besh had a good combine. He didn't run a 40, but Jack Besh, LSU wide receiver, 6'1", 214. Reminds me a lot of a Ram-style wide receiver, one of those Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua types. He should see some decent capital. Day 2, probably. We'll see. It's a loaded wide receiver group here. A lot of names to work through. Hey, let's talk about Dante Thornton. I mean, hey, that's one of my guys. Baltimore kid. He measured in at a 6'4.5", 205, and he ran a 4.3 flat. Go check out my video for him, man. And everyone was sleeping on him for a long time. No one talks about him. Finally getting a little bit of recognition here. He's not just an athlete. This guy can play, man. He's got good hands. He's a separator. Program pedigree. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he was a 5-star. And he was an Oregon transferred to Tennessee. It's a crowded room over there in Tennessee, you know. He still carved out a niche. Big play receiver. 25.4 yards per catch on 26 catches. Hey, makes those catches count. One of the more intriguing profiles in this class. One of my favorite stories, really. A lot of teams could use a guy like this on the perimeter. Field stretchers. They're not always easy to come by. People were talking about him like he might be a day 3 pick for a while there. Maybe undrafted. Suddenly, he goes round 3. I'm not hating that at all. Ty Felton, he could go round 3. Another guy that ran a sub 4.4. He's a 6'1", 183, so a little bit slight of frame, and that's it. That's literally his only knock. He does everything well. He lines up all over the field. He's twitchy. He's good after the catch. He can hit a home run on any play. You know, kind of different types of prospects. Demario Douglas. I mean, that's probably his floor. He's going to find a way into an offense. Whoever he drafts him, wherever he gets drafted, he's that kind of kid. And he knocked it out of the park, man, at the Combine. Great job, Ty Felton. Go Terps. Isaiah Nair. He had a good Combine. 6'4", 218. He ran a 4.4 flat. The guy's got grapevines for arms. 34 and 3/8 inch arms. That's incredible for a wide receiver. He jumped 11'1". Great explosion. Definitely an NFL athlete all the way, and then some. He can line up and be a starter in the league. Play the Z spot. Nothing flashy. He could be like a poor man's T. Higgins, though. He looked great at the Shrine Bowl. Go back and check out some of that tape. He was at Texas before he was at Nebraska, and he was at Wyoming before that. Texas, man. If you're on Texas's roster, you're a good player. That's basically how it's going these days, especially that wide receiver room. He had a solid year at Nebraska. Nothing too crazy, but that's, translatable game. Torrey Horton, Colorado State, he had a good Combine. 4.41. Some people were questioning his speed. He put that to bed. This guy can run. 6'2.5", 196. 30.5 inch arms. Kind of wish they were longer. 6'3" and 200 pounds, essentially. You kind of see why they were using him underneath a little bit more. Definitely an interesting prospect. Older prospect, coming off of an injury. He had a big 2023 season. He almost went pro after that, but he decided to go back, and sometimes it doesn't always break how you hope it will. Good receiver, though. Keep your eye on that guy. Chim DK. Okay. All right, I see you, Mr. DK. I've had my eye on this guy since his Wisconsin days, and kind of forgot about him. Whoa, ho, ho. This guy is back. Great Combine. Excellent tape at Florida this season. He flashed at the All-Star games. He was in a couple All-Star games. People are going to keep sleeping on this kid. I am not. It's not just a workout warrior. I see it with him. He's definitely got some of that Demarcus Robinson type of a floor. He's going to be a wide receiver 3 somewhere very soon, and maybe more. Maybe he's a Khalil Shakir type of player in a couple of years. I'm telling you guys, look out for this kid. Do not sleep on him. He's an older prospect, 5th-year senior, but he checks a lot of boxes, man. All right, guys, who else we want to talk about? Egbuka didn't run. He's expected to run in the 4.3s at his pro day. That's what I'm hearing. So he's going to go ahead of Tet. That's the word on the street. That's the gossip anyway. People are saying Egbuka runs in the 4.3s. Tet runs like 4.5 flat. All bets are off. I mean, that's easy value for a GM. You don't want to overthink that. One of these Ohio State guys. Size, intangibles, speed. You're going to take that every time. Matthew Golden, Texas representing. 4.29 in the 40. He's going to go first round. His running mate, Isaiah Bond, he's probably going to be a top 50 guy. Bond had the fastest MPH of anyone there, 24 something. That kid is electric. Man, I can't wait to see where these guys land. All right, let's see who else here. Ricky White kind of had a down combine. If we're going to talk about some stock downs, not that bad. Just clearly he's a quicker than he is fast type of athlete. 6'1", 185. Could only run a 4.6. Nick Nash ran faster than him. 4.57 at 6'2.5", 203. Interesting slot option. Definitely only a slot receiver there. Lacks the juice to line up outside. But hey, he could be serviceable in a pinch if a team needs a slot guy later in the draft. Could be interesting. All right, guys. Let's talk about slot receivers. Tez Johnson. Let's set the record straight here. Let's talk about the player he is. People are taking him off their boards. Hold the phone. He's 5'9" and 3/4, 155. He ran a 4.5 40. People think he's small and slow. He's off their board. End of the story. I don't think the NFL is going to see it like that. I think if he ran in the low 4.3s, he could have went back into round one. All right, 4.5. No big deal. So he's a day 2 guy now. He knocked it out of the park in basically every other category outside of the 40. He's very productive. The kid is who he is. Watch the tape. He's a great, great slot receiver. Twitchy, fast, good after the catch, dependable. He plays bigger than his size. That's very clear to see. He's good at what he does. I don't really expect that to change anytime soon. He's going to find a spot in the NFL. You just wait. He's going to be a PPR dude. And guess what, guys? He could run at his pro day. He could run in the 4.4s and just kind of put all this slow stuff to bed. There are reports he was running in the 4.3s before the combine. That doesn't exactly come from nowhere. The agent isn't just making everything up. He's a high MPH guy. It just wasn't his day. It happens. Every other category, just incredible, really. Get your shares, guys. Get your shares of Tez Johnson. That's going to be fantasy gold, honestly, in my opinion. I'm going to stay bullish. All right, guys, that's enough about the wide receivers. Everyone else kind of par for the course. Everyone did pretty well, as they were expected to do. Luther Burden, Alec Iomanner, running in the 4.4s. We'll see. They're both, some people are saying Luther Burden might be a day 2 guy now, not a day 1 guy. Whatever, it's no big deal. Opportunity's opportunity. I think Burden's getting slept on a little bit, honestly. You don't want to treat him like he's like Malachi Corley or something. He's a lot better than that. I was a little lower on Burden than some were initially, but a lot of people had him as a wide receiver 1, including NFL scouts, so you don't want to discount that. He's got talent. 4.41, he's a dude after the catch. Every year there's always a Debo comp, but with him, you could definitely see it. Debo was a round 2 guy. A lot of the best wide receivers are round 2 guys, going all the way back. Savion Williams, he could go R2. 6'4", 222. He runs in the 4.4s. He lines up all over the field, literally. He's their wildcat quarterback sometimes. How about a Taysom Hill comp? He could be fantasy gold. People sleep on him. I'm a big fan of Savion Williams. And apparently he did great in interviews. He was the life of the party. All right, guys, last guy here I want to touch on before I move to quarterbacks. Dominic Lovett. Kind of an interesting player. He's always had my eye. He's a good football player. That's why. He's a good football player. First and foremost, he tested very well. I wasn't exactly expecting that. He could be a sneaky option in the slot. Watch out for these slot guys, man. I never met a slot receiver I didn't like. Never met a starting tight end I didn't like. That's just how I play. I don't know about you guys. PPR, tight end premium. Kind of nuts not to. To each their own, I guess. All right, guys, let's talk quarterbacks. We're keeping this fantasy relevant. We're not going to be doing O-linemen or anything like that. So this will be the last group we talk about. Quarterbacks. Jackson Dart looked awesome. I think he's going to be the second quarterback off the board. Traitsy as hell. He looks the part. He looked good in drills. He was the best quarterback in the drills. Best quarterback there. Cam Ward wasn't there. Well, he was there for workouts and medicals, but nothing else. Word is he's going to be the top guy. That's basically set in stone at this stage. That's what all the insiders are saying. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me the whole time. I've had him my QB1. All right, guys. Shadur Sanders. Some question marks here. Word is he's looking for one team to buy in. All he needs is one team, right? Well, if that one team doesn't buy in, he could drop. That's also what I'm hearing. He could fall out of the first round. Too many question marks with Shadur. I think teams are going to see him like that too. The majority of them. He's kind of small. He doesn't have a rocket. He's okay as an athlete, just okay. He's probably like a 4.8 guy, apparently. The tape's spotty, man. He lives off structure. He doesn't play in structure. I'm not sure he's capable of it. He doesn't go through his progressions very quickly. He's kind of a slow processor. Takes a million sacks. That stuff's not going to translate. That's not going to fly in the NFL. He's like a lot like Caleb Williams in many ways, and he's half the athlete. Good luck with that. Apparently, he didn't exactly ace some of his interviews. Apparently, he didn't even put much effort in some of his interviews. Putting all his eggs in one basket, I guess. I don't know. I think that's kind of short-sighted. Hollywood stuff. That's a young Hollywood there. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, honestly. Some people have Shuck ahead of Sanders now. I'm one of those people, at least on my at-home big board here. Fantasy ranks, we'll see how it plays out, on draft day. I'll tell you this. I'm still a Milroe guy. I'm not going to be out on Milroe until he's out of the league, honestly. Especially if we're talking fantasy football. He's going to be fantasy gold. We'll see where he gets drafted. Could be a mid-rounder, but a ton of upside there, man. Ton of upside. Hey, maybe the Raiders could be the next Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll picked him in the 3rd round. Now, Milroe's nothing close to the passer that Wilson was coming out of college. And he didn't do himself any favors at the scouting combine. I mean, throwing a catchable ball is not exactly his forte as a passer, which is a bit of a red flag. Of course, you got to admit that. But all things considered, I think he's better than like Justin Fields. Maybe that's a hot take. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments. You taking Justin Fields or Jalen Milroe? Jalen Milroe, no one's going to outwork this kid. On the field, off the field, in the gym, in the classroom. He won the academic Heisman, for Christ's sakes. Ask his teammates about him. He's the hardest working guy on the team. I mean, look out for him. If he gets us a little bit better as a passer, okay, maybe a little bit and a half better as a passer, he could be great, man. He could be a Jalen Hurts type. Quinn Ewers looked pretty good, pretty solid. He's another interesting story. All these quarterbacks are really interesting this year. He was one of the most accurate passers in drills. Just looked really comfortable, confident out there, laughing, having a good time. He was in Jackson Dart's group. They were clearly the top 2 guys in their group. Ewers lacked a little bit of mustard on some of his deep passes, but he's very accurate. Layers just throws well. Throws a very, very catchable ball. Seems like a bright kid. Team first player. A lot of teams could be doing a lot worse than Quinn Ewers on their roster at quarterback. I'll tell you that much. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite players and a player that looked pretty good at the scouting combine, actually. Riley Leonard, Notre Dame quarterback, similar to Jalen Milroe, top-tier runner. His strength sneaks up on defenders, and he's got the speed to run away from you. I mean, apparently he's like a 4-5 guy. If he ever sees a starting job, which he very well could, he's got the size, he's got the intangible, he's a bright kid, gutsy as hell, natural leader. I mean, people love this guy. And I thought he looked good at the combine. Fit right in. He was in his zone, man. Lid flipped backwards. He's got an arm on him. People sleep on Riley Leonard's arm. I've heard it a million times. Riley Leonard's got a noodle arm. He can't throw it. That's not true, guys. He may not be the most accurate passer in the world, but arm strength is not his issue. Totally different type of player, but I could see him coming off the bench, being like a Minshew mania type of situation, where he's just outplaying whoever's ahead of him. Aiden O'Connell put Garoppolo on the bench. This stuff happens. People laugh at AOC. That guy did well for me in fantasy. I have like 1 million shares because he was free, so why not? And he's a good player, good quarterback. I love that guy. He's actually one of my favorite players in the league. Just love his attitude, man. That guy's awesome. Plays with a lot of passion. He's a toolsy guy, too. People sleep on him. He's got a good arm. I thought Dylan Gabriel looked pretty good. Little Dylan. He's kind of a Russell Wilson comp. Maybe like a poor man's Bryce Young. I mean, he's not going to be muscling it, 70 yards down the field anytime soon. But short area, intermediate, he could work that all day. We'll see where he lands. He's another one that could come off the bench and, provide a spark. I could definitely see a path to a few late season starts. He's pro ready. He's doing it a while. One of the most experienced quarterbacks in the class. Could be like a Brock Purdy maybe, We'll see. We'll see. All right, guys, that will do it. Scouting Combine review. Had to get this one out here. This is new for this channel. We haven't done one like this before. Definitely a long one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Podcast style this time. I didn't do any visuals. Sorry about that, guys. Keeping it simple, straight to the point. There'll be bells and whistles as this channel evolves, I'm sure. Hey, maybe I get to 1K subscribers. I'll get you guys a video guy, some graphics going here. You got my word on that. But all right, guys. Until then, appreciate all the support. And big shout out here to Dave T. Thomas, scout I've always admired. Rumor has it he invented the combine. I'm not sure if that's true. If it is true, let me know in the comments. Dave T passed away not too long ago. End of an era, man. They don't make him like Dave T anymore. But all right, guys. Appreciate you listening to the end here. I know there's a saturated market of draft analysis right now, but definitely appreciate you guys clicking on my show. I'm going to do my best to not lead you guys astray. Been doing it a while. Stick with me. Plenty more to come. Got some ranking shows coming up for you soon. Still trying to let some of this post-combine stuff marinate before I get to those. But in the meantime, expect a lot more analysis and highlight videos from your buddy here, old Luigi. Be nice to the host, guys, in the comments. Christ's sakes. It's only fantasy football.